Hey everybody, this is Joseph Pasek, and welcome to the Fired Up Network. Welcome to Crunching the Numbers. Welcome to Week 14 in the National Football League, and welcome to the two-time Emmy Award winner, Mark Everkelly. Mark, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here in the National Football League. Let's begin. Sunday, December 7th, 1 p.m., the Pittsburgh Steelers in Baltimore. Baltimore favored by 5.5. Who you got?
Well, I think Baltimore losing to the Bengals, to me, was one of the bigger shocks of the weekend. I figured Baltimore was going to run through the rest of their schedule, especially like I know Burrow came back, but Baltimore's defense was horrible. Watching that game and thinking, okay, this is a team that's in competition to win the AFC North, and the Steelers watching them on Sunday and their offense with Aaron Rodgers, without Aaron
Yeah, but who
Rodgers,
beat the Steelers last Sunday?
huh?
Who
Yeah,
beat the
but watching the
Steelers?
Steelers and the Ravens, one of those teams are winning the AFC North, right?
Yeah.
And they're both awful. They
No.
both played awful this past week. So Baltimore was playing well, but some of their deficiencies that they showed against the Jets showed up full fledged against the Bengals. Who Bengals defense was, it's been awful all year, and they stopped them when they needed to. Lamar Jackson. This is why people are critical of him. Because in games like that, you don't necessarily know what you're going to get. Despite being, reigning MVP and having all these awards, people say he can't really win in the postseason. Well, I think that applies to big games sometimes too. And beating Cincinnati and keeping pace to where they would then take over the division, I think, is what they needed to do. So losing that game at home to the Bengals was really huge. So I think Pittsburgh and Baltimore, who's playing worse? To me, I still think it's Pittsburgh. Their offense with Aaron Rodgers, you can see, is declining week by week. Uh, they totally had no idea what they were doing against Buffalo, and other teams have shown you can beat Buffalo, you can score points on them, and the Steelers couldn't. They were shut down totally in the second half, and then Buffalo kind of forced a couple turnovers on them. So I'll take Baltimore. I think even though I don't like their loss against Cincinnati, I still think they're the better team. And Pittsburgh, you're going to have their first losing season under Tomlin, and then Tomlin's going to get fired.
So the key thing, I agree with everything you said, but when I
How
look
about
at the
that?
spread, 5.5 points. This has always been a field goal, 4 points, and all that. I
Right.
think 5.5 is 6 points. I think it may be too much. I'm calling Baltimore to win, but they'll win by 3 or something like that. That's what I say. Now, other 1 o'clock games: Seattle, Atlanta, Seattle. Ho hum, they're favored by 7 points.
Yeah, well, I think Atlanta coming off a loss to the Jets, which is bad enough. Cousins is inconsistent. And Seattle really smacked around Minnesota. Now, Minnesota has played bad this year, but Seattle beat them up. And I think Seattle's showing that they could be the best team in the NFC West after Los Angeles loses to Carolina. So there's still a lot to be made up in the NFC of who's going to get. I mean, the Bears are the number one seed, which I think nobody would have said. If you would have told me beginning of the year the Bears were going to be the number one seed after heading into Week 14, I would have thought you were crazy, and that's
My
the way it
friend
is
Mike
now.
said it. My friend Mike Ditka said it.
Yeah. Well, in fairness to Ditka, I think I'll take Seattle.
I agree. Now, this is a matchup, 1 o'clock also. Tennessee into Cleveland. Shador Sanders up against Cam Ward. Now, Shador, in his mind, he should have been the number one pick. Cam Ward, number one pick. He's probably regretting being the number one pick because he's sacked like 720 times.
Mm-hmm.
So the spread is 4.5 for Cleveland. All I have to say is Myles Garrett has 19 sacks. This guy has 19 sacks. There's still 5 games left. He's going to be breaking the sack single season record. Myles Garrett, he elected to sign back with Cleveland, and he's saying, okay, I doing what I can do, but I need help. And he needs help. running back, quarterback, wide receiver, lineman, everything. Who do you got in this one?
I have the Browns. But, I mean, Sanders has played okay, but he's only completing 50% of his passes, and still better than what they had before. And Titans are now, they've played some teams tough last couple of weeks. But, again, their only win they should not have against the Cardinals. And overall, I think Cleveland is better. Myles Garrett eventually will be happy he signed a contract, but not this year, obviously.
Here's one other thing interesting to me. Like I said, 4.5 Cleveland is favorite, but the over under is 33. 33, the over under for both teams. That's probably one of the lowest over under I've seen all year here. Now, go ahead.
Oh, wow.
All right. Miami and your team. Miami favored by 3. Miami, if they win, they're 6-7. What a comeback!
Yeah. I think the Jets are playing better, but I think Miami, they're actually still in competition for a playoff spot. I'll take them.
All right. New Orleans into Tampa. Tampa favored by 8.5.
Yeah, I'll take Tampa. New Orleans, at times they've played okay, but, even last week, I think, again, you lose. I thought they were going to compete last week. They didn't. So I'll take Tampa. Tampa's got too much on the line. They got to fight for that division now with Carolina leading.
All right, this should be one of the better 1 p.m. games. Indianapolis goes into Jacksonville, and Indianapolis favored by 1.5.
Yeah, wow. I see now Jacksonville's played. Obviously, they're playing much better. Indianapolis has lost the last couple of games, and if you look a couple of weeks ago, everybody thought the Colts had the lock on their number 1 seed. Now New England's got it, and Indianapolis better be careful. If they don't win this game, they might not make the playoffs. And I like the way Jacksonville's playing better.
So you're going with Jacksonville?
I am, yep.
And Jacksonville's underdog at home, put it that way.
I think that's more the reason.
Washington into Minnesota. Minnesota favored by 1.5.
Well, I like the way Washington played on Sunday night against Denver. I mean, that was one of the most entertaining games. Came down to the crazy ending. I think they showed a lot of fight. I think Marcus Mariota is playing for a contract next year, and I'll take Washington. Minnesota's just no talent from the quarterback spot, and as long as they go with J.J. McCarthy, even if they go with someone else, I still think that Washington's playing better. I think they got a little more to play for. I think Mariota is playing with a mission.
Okay, we're going to go with the final 1 o'clock game. Cincinnati into Buffalo. 5.5 point favorites, the Buffalo Bills.
Well, I think Buffalo will do what the Ravens didn't do. Okay. But I don't know. Joe Burrow's like the best quarterback since Boomer Esiason on a 4-7 team. So I don't know. I mean, I'm going to take Buffalo, but I'm very weary of the way they performed in games that they should have won easier. Losing to the Falcons, for example, is one. Now, losing to the Texans doesn't look as bad anymore after the Texans won last week. But I think Buffalo's inconsistency worries me a little bit, but they're at home, and I think it's time for them to kind of separate themselves from wild card teams.
Well, let's like as a biggest Buffalo fan here, so let's go. Okay, they slipped up with New England. Okay, and proven New England's the best team, so it's not a slip up. All right, I agree with you with what you said about Atlanta. Okay, that game they should have had. Okay, they lost to Miami, but Miami you could see they're winning 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So you could see that. And Houston, like let's face it, the offensive line, 3 of the offensive line were gone and all that, and they still were 3 points out of winning that game. So.
Right.
It is bad, but it's not as bad. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So let's get to the 4 o'clock games right now. 4:05, the Denver Broncos into Vegas. Denver favored by 7.5.
Take Denver.
All right. Chicago goes into Green Bay. 4:25. Green Bay favored by 6.5.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I take Chicago with that. That's so many points.
Okay, also 425, the Rams 8-point favorites in Arizona.
Yeah, I think the Rams are they're going to answer back for losing last week. They're too talented offensively, and if they want to show them best team in the NFC West, they got to win this game by a lot.
All right, and then Sunday Night Football 8:20. Houston Texans invade Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. The Chiefs are favored by 3.5 points.
Yeah, wow. Now I'm going to take Houston. I think this is I've believed in Kansas City all year. I think Houston fighting for more. Kansas City's just been too inconsistent, and I don't believe in them anymore. So that could be that could be them winning again after I do that. I've been the proverbial kiss of death.
Well, Kansas City, don't forget, Kansas City next week plays at home against the Chargers. So that's a big rivalry game also. So, but
Sure.
Kansas City's got to, come off the schneid and really, because the following after the Chargers, they're in Tennessee, and everybody knows they should beat Tennessee there.
Right.
And then they play the Christmas Day game against Denver in Kansas City.
Right.
So these are big wins here. All
Right.
right, Mark, let's close it out with giving a shout out to your sponsors, and Mark will be back Monday to preview Monday Night Football.
Yeah, so I have Miles Smith over at the Cattle Stampede, which gives a buffet and gives really great food for middle class families. You mentioned my name, you get 10% off. And Bobby Ledbetter over at Ledbetter's Twin City Auto Sales in Gadsden and here in Fort Payne. Just their staff really cares about their customers, and it's not in your normal car dealership. They really sit down and listen to you. And mention my name, you get $500 off. We're moving up to the $1,000 range. But two great guys, two community-owned businesses that I'm really blessed to have their support.
All right, like I mentioned, Mark will be back here to preview Monday Night Football. Thanks a lot, Mark.